Susie, hello.
Hello, Rupert.
Hi, Susie.
Can you say? So good to see you. And everyone, honestly, it's beautiful. Okay, my question. On YouTube once, I heard you tell a story to a man that John Smith needed to play the part of King Lear to experience his daughters. And the problem was not that he, it was not that he was playing the part. It was rather that he was identifying or believing himself to be King Lear. And the question is, what is the implication of this? So
Okay.
I have a sense that the true fulfillment of joy is when King Lear realizes he's not truly King Lear, but he's still in this part.
Okay. So, Susie, let me just briefly elaborate the metaphor for those that are not familiar with it. So, an actor, John Smith, plays the part of King Lear. That's basically it. John Smith represents our true nature, unlimited awareness. King Lear represents the person we seem to be. So, it is true that, so what I'm suggesting is that in the same way that John Smith is really the essence of King Lear, that John Smith and King Lear are not two separate people. King Lear is just a limitation of John Smith. So in exactly the same way, the person we seem to be is a limitation or an apparent limitation of the awareness that we truly are. Now, as you rightly said, John Smith needs to play the part of King Lear in order to have a relationship with Cordelia. In other words, in order to be King of England, and to be married, to have 3 daughters, to go to war with France, etc. In exactly the same way that if awareness wants to know the world, it has to do so through the agency of a finite mind. It has to clothe itself in thinking and perceiving, or in fact just perceiving. So this is John Smith clothing himself in the activity of King Lear in order to become King of England. It's the same thing. Infinite consciousness clothes itself in perception in order to perceive a world. Now, as such, perception is the mechanism through which consciousness is able to perceive the world. And by itself, perception is not problematic. What is problematic, just as playing the part of King Lear is not inherently problematic for John Smith. What is problematic for John Smith is that if he forgets that he is John Smith, believes and feels that he is King Lear, at that moment his suffering begins. Likewise, the fact of perceiving, or the fact of thinking and perceiving, is not inherently problematic. It is the means by which we, awareness, know objective experience. It is only when we, consciousness or awareness, lose ourselves in thinking and perceiving that we overlook our inherently peaceful nature, and at that moment our suffering begins. So it is not thought and perception itself that is problematic. It is losing ourselves in them or identifying ourselves with them that is problematic, in the sense that it causes suffering.
Exactly. And the question is, what's the implication of that once now King Lear has figured out?
Well, the implication is if we identify ourselves with the content of our experience, if we allow ourselves to be limited by the content of our experience, we will inevitably feel, I am a temporary, finite, separate self, with all the suffering and conflict that attends that belief. If we do not identify ourselves with the content of our experience, we do not believe or feel that we are a temporary, finite self, and as a result, the peace and happiness that are our true nature are available to us.
And he doesn't, and King Lear is not bothered by one of his daughters dying because he knows that she's, or,
No, King Lear
attacking.
doesn't know anything. King Lear doesn't know anything. There is no person called King Lear. It's only John Smith knows anything. John Smith, yes, he continues to know Cordelia by playing the part of King Lear, but he doesn't identify himself with that part. So he continues to play the part without overlooking his true nature. So he's able to fully play his part in life without suffering.
And it feels to me that that is the fullness of joy. And I don't know if that's true, but like the fact that you can be here and actually perceive and engage and have that activity, but really know that that's not who you really are. That's not the
Exactly.
reality.
That's not who you are, but you don't have to stop thinking, perceiving, acting, and relating. All you need to do is stop allowing yourself to be limited by these experiences and activities. You remain knowingly yourself in the midst of your activities, and thus two things. One, you remain in touch with your innate peace and happiness, and two, you bring that innate peace and happiness out into the world through your activities and relationships.
Beautiful.
Nice to see you, Susie.
Thank you.